Hello, welcome to Sound and Fury Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing something a little different, and that is I'm going to give you some tips for how to get the ARCs that you want on NetGalley. So if you don't know what NetGalley is a website where you can apply to get free print or more likely ebook copies of books that aren't out yet. And most of the major publishers use it. A lot of indie publishers and small publishers use it. And I've read, I think, at least 50 on there. Now, I obviously have other books that I read. I read a lot of classic science fiction, so those obviously won't be on NetGalley, but I do read, I'd say at least one a month, sometimes 2 or 3 a month from NetGalley, depending on whether I go crazy looking for titles or not and then forget that they're all due in the same month. So, in no way is this video endorsed or approved by NetGalley, and I have no affiliation with them aside from I have used it on the publishing side once before. Okay, so let's just start. Tip number 1, your feedback ratio matters. You need to write reviews and put them in NetGalley. Don't just write reviews on Amazon. Post them in the NetGalley app. I keep my ratio at no less than 75%. If you're just starting out on NetGalley, pick 1 or 2 read now titles. These are often books a couple of years old that don't require approval, just to get your ratio up. Read them, post a review, and then you'll at least have, a really good approval rating. Once you get going with it and get more titles, I also recommend you only pick books you have the time to read or think you will like. Keep your review ratio at least 75%, preferably 80, at least until you have more reviews under your belt, or unless you have a really big following. I'm pretty sure if you have like 12,000 people following you, you'll probably get approved pretty easily. But again, I don't work for NetGalley. I don't know. From the publishing side, I'll say that, yeah, if someone has 12,000 subscribers, I will obviously just instantly approve them. So, I mean, that's though from my, small indie press perspective, not from the big 5 or anything like that. Tip number 2, your profile. I think of this as like a little mini resume. List off how many book reviews you've done and where. Example, I have 700 plus reviews on Goodreads. Keep your bio to like 3 to 7 sentences. Too long and no one's going to read it, and too short and you don't look serious, like don't put nothing. I use the bio to A, explain how I post reviews 2 weeks before release unless specified by the publisher. B, my qualifications, I'm a writer myself. I've been using Goodreads for 10 years or whatever, and I have a background in writing. If you don't have any of that, just say you're an avid reader and how many books you read a year on average. C, I repeat my socials despite it being listed below. And D, my genre preferences in more detail. So you can pick your genres, based on like sci-fi, but then I'll say, I really enjoy LGBTQ plus sci-fi, female-led horror, things like that. Like things that would appeal to a publisher if they were trying to market a specific book. And then link every place you talk about your books, aka all your socials. If you post on Instagram, obviously put that. If you post your books on Twitter all the time, post about that. If you have a blog, you put everything, everywhere that you talk about books, post on there. And then actually post things on those socials. Like, it's pretty easy to tell if you click on it that you say, oh, here's my website, but you don't talk about books. Like, I've seen that a few times and I'm just like, okay. Tip number 3, genres. Don't list every genre under the sun when you make your selections. Keep it to like 5 or 6. If you really want a book, before you request that title, go back to your profile and make that the top genre, then switch it back when you're approved if you really want to. Like, I don't know if that works, but if I see that someone's top genre is sci-fi and, I've got a sci-fi book on there, then I'm probably going to pick them over someone whose top book is something else, like historical fiction or something like that. Tip number 4. Again, your socials. If you're not a bookseller or a librarian, you're listed as a consumer in NetGalley. As such, your review has less weight because you are less likely to garner sales. So you need to add oomph to your profile by your reach. In truth, when I was looking as a publisher, I didn't care about Twitter. I'm not going to scroll through someone's Twitter profile to look for book posts, but I do check Instagram every time I saw one. Someone who has Instagram, even 100 followers, at least from my perspective, is better than someone who only posts reviews to Goodreads, unless their feedback ratio is extremely high. Like, the thing is, it's not like I'm not giving you like 100% way to get approved for all your books. I'm just saying that there are some things you can probably do that will help you get the books that you really want. And speaking of socials, make sure you post about the ARCs on your socials, even Twitter, and tag the publisher and tag NetGalley. Tag them in any post and even tag the author. Use hashtags if it's Instagram, Twitter, or YouTube. Like, just do all the little things you can to show that you are serious about posting book reviews, and then you'll more likely be given like a really cool ARC. I've gotten so many good ARCs this year. Tip number 5. This is going to be really hard for people that are mood readers, but be organized. So when I get a NetGalley arc, I slot it into my TBR and I make sure I start reading it at least a week before I have to post my review. Like I have my little calendar and I actually write down, post this review. I prepare my review at least the night before. And then I go and I post everything at the same time. I post all those links in the give feedback spot that asks for other links. So, I have my blog, I have Instagram, I have YouTube, I have Goodreads. I always forget to post to Amazon, I will say. Because usually you're supposed to do that after publication and I just forget. But I post everywhere else. So I'm like, okay, it's fine if I forget to do Amazon sometimes. And tip number 6. Abide by the publisher's stipulations. If they say don't post review until 2 weeks before, don't post review until 2 weeks before. In fact, I suggest, unless they say otherwise, doing the review 2 weeks before is a good time to get views if that's what you're looking for, as it gets you into the algorithms before the book comes out, but not too early that it gets lost. I think my biggest views come from my ARC videos, except for my review of Dune, but that's because people hate watched it, which is fine. Views. I guess one thing I will say though is if you're getting a book and it's coming out 4 months from now, always send the file to your Kindle, etc. when you're approved, in case you miss the archive date, because there are archive dates usually are before the book comes out. So make sure that you download it with plenty of time, because you could get to a situation where you missed it and then it looks bad because this book's just sitting in your NetGalley, desktop without a review. You could always email the publisher though and tell them that, hey, this is what happened. That happened to me once. So yeah, I hope that's helpful. Whether your goals with NetGalley is to just get the arcs that you want, or to get auto approved by certain publishers, which can happen. I'm auto approved by a couple. Then I hope these tips help you and that you get all the books that you want, because that's my only goal here, is to help people get the books that they want to read, because that's my raison d'etre. To be fancy. So thanks for watching. If I missed any tips, or if you have any tips for NetGalley, or if you've had a great experience with NetGalley, let me know in the comments. So thank you.